I've always been really good with words. Like I've always kind of just loved the notion of like telling stories. Sorry, like growing up, reading books, whatever. But I think the first time I ever went surfing was with my friend Garrett and Dave from Hawaii, and they're both from Hawaii. Dave grew up, he's like a military kid, grew up on like Pearl Harbor, literally on the base. Yeah. And then Garrett's like a haole, which basically means like white local in Hawaiian. Went surfing with them. And I remember, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this on this podcast, but I remember I took like half a tab of acid for the first time, and I went surfing. You can't say it.
No, of course you can, mate. Yeah, just share whatever you want to do. I remember I took half a tab of acid and I went surfing, and I obviously didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just terrified of tiger sharks the whole time. And then like started to just look around and look at the world and look at the water. And we'd been listening to the Grateful Dead the whole way there, and I'd never listened to the Grateful Dead before. We were listening to like Grateful Dead, Velvet Underground, Lou Reed, like music that I'd never heard before. I grew up listening to grime and Eminem and just trollop, what I consider it. Like, there's a time and a place for it, obviously. I'm not saying it's like objectively bad, but yeah. And I remember just being in the water and just being like, feeling inspired for the first time about something that wasn't like, I want to be like Wayne Rooney. You know, it was the first time that I'd ever seen the world for how beautiful it looks. And it then took a few more years for me to figure out how exactly I saw myself in that and how I wanted to document that or how I wanted to perceive that or whatever. But that was, and then obviously, you know, multiple stories like that first one, just experiences, and then meeting my best friend still to this day, a guy called Mitch, who I consider like my platonic soulmate. Like we were supposed to meet. And he's an American guy from Sacramento, and I was on FaceTime to him last night for 4 hours, and we wrote like 3 songs. I was just there in my room on the guitar, and we were just like, oh, this would be cool, do this, like play the F, play the C, like, you know, just meeting these people, and obviously being in such a beautiful, inspiring place anyway, just kind of makes it easier to want to tell stories. But in terms of actually figuring out that it's possible to do for a job, so I double majored, so I'd already kind of figured out that I wanted to write. I wanted to be a journalist. So about 2 years into uni, I was like, I want to be a journalist.
What was the inspiration, if you don't mind me asking? I don't want to stop you mid-flow.
Just fucking love words. Okay. Just love storytelling.
Simple as that.
I think that, you know, in today's climate especially, I won't start speaking about it because I will not stop. But the kind of the injustices going on in the world right now with things being pushed that aren't true. I've always felt like strongly about that, like just.
Understood. Yeah, because I was going to ask why journalism and not creative writing, but you've just identified it exactly.
And there's, you know, you get to pick your own stories that you want to tell, but you get to do the story justice. Like, I remember I was in a journalism class, and my dad loves T-Rex. I mean, I love T-Rex as well, the band Mark Bolan.
Yeah, cool.
And my dad always told me that it was Mark Bolan that wrapped his Meaney round the tree, and obviously died, R.I.P. But then I remember I was doing an assignment for my journalism class, and I wanted to start writing about music or whatever. And it wasn't actually him that was driving the Mini. It was his girlfriend, Gloria Jones.
Right.
And I remember like ringing my dad and being like, you've got it wrong. Like, it weren't even him driving. Like, that was the first time that I was passionate about something that wasn't football.
Got you. Okay.
Anyway, so you have to double major you don't have to double major. I double majored. So I did English literature for like creative writing, and then journalism, which are kind of easy double majors to get because a lot of the classes are similar. But how it works in the States is you have to get 120 credits to get your degree, and 80 of them have to be in your like chosen major. Each class is like 3 credits, which means that you do 4 years, 8 semesters, 15 each. And then that's the maths. But for the electives, you get to pick what they are, and they make you like a well-rounded educational person. And I remember asking Mitch, I was like, what was the easiest class that you did last year with the easiest professor? I need an A. Like, I barely want to go to class. I just want someone to give me an A. And he was like, oh, take photography, like with this guy. I was like, all right, sweet. I took this photography class with this guy,
And he was like, stoner surfer dude, definitely had tenure because he barely turned up himself.
Right.
And I remember just him describing to me the notion of you can capture and document a factual, physical thing that you've seen in 1/100th of a second, and you can capture that 1/100th in a second exactly how you see the world. And I was stoned in the class and I was like, that's crazy. You mean I get to pick and choose what I deem to be important. I get to pick and choose how I see it. And then if I teach myself how a camera works, I get to pick and choose how I shoot it. Like, whoa, that's mental. And then I remember I stole a water housing from the camera that you can basically put a camera in and then you can go in the ocean and take pictures of waves and stuff. And Garrett, who I referred to earlier, he was an amazing surfer, grew up in Hawaii, and he'd just been sponsored by a surfboard company or like a surfboard shaper. And I remember just sitting on the beach all day, got in the water, took pictures of him surfing, sent them off to a surf magazine, and then they published them and sent me like $50. And I was like, this is a job. I can do this for a job. That's crazy. I can do this for a whole job. And then from then I kind of just, I think I rang my mum and was like, Mum, my birthday's in 8 months. Can I have $500 please? Went and bought a camera from Best Buy, just got obsessed. Like, what does this button do? What's an ISO mean? What's an f-stop? What's a shutter speed? And then kind of just went and documented the world in my own little way, not really knowing what I was doing.
But that was the gateway. And I wonder, because you said that you love storytelling. And it's ways that enable you, basically what you've then learned are the tools that enable you to tell stories in a range of different avenues, right?
Yeah.
But at the heart of it is you want to tell stories.
Yeah.
So whether that's writing lyrics or poetry or journalism, telling people's stories or stories of injustice or justice or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's as you say, being able to document through your lens what you deem to be important and tell that story too.
Yeah.
Which I think is a beautiful way to describe creativity. You've just got to find an outlet, a way of getting that out of you.
Of course. The medium does not matter in what you're doing. And I think that, I hate calling myself it, but at heart I'm an artist. Like the medium in which I'm kind of creating isn't actually really all that important to me. As long as I'm truly and freely expressing what I want to be expressing in the purest form I can do it in, then great, I feel alive. Like that's when I'm in, like you never really realize when you're in flow state when you're in it. For me, I always realize after the fact that I was like, whoa, I was just in flow state. Like I was just writing a song for 2 hours, or I was just editing a video or writing a script or da-da-da-da-da. But that feeling of knowing that your purpose on earth, or what you believe your purpose for existence to be, when you have that, and especially when you find out what that is, there's honestly no feeling like it. It's the best, it's the most freeing, liberating, rewarding feeling that I believe anyone can feel, to be honest.
Are you fortunate enough to get into that flow state quite often with the work that you do? Because you've got so many creative strings to your bow, for want of a better expression. Are you fortunate enough to be able to get into that place where your brain and your mind is just off doing what it loves doing?
Yeah, I don't get to choose, obviously. I wish I could. Actually, no, do you know what? I'm glad that I don't get to choose. Imagine if there was just a little flow state switch.
I mean, whoever invents it, they'd be making some money.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't even do it for money. Hopefully they just do it because they just fucking love being in flow state themselves.
That's it. Getting
high on their own supply. No, I don't get to pick and choose. I know that you wasn't asking that. I just think that because I'll get obsessed. I'll just get obsessed. Like, I remember without sounding as bitter as I'm going to sound here, I remember I went for a breakup like beginning of last year, and I was like really in the pits. I didn't really know what to do. I was like, I don't really want to write vicious songs. I don't want to write a vicious film, da-da-da-da-da. And I went and did a poetry class because I had a dream that if my ex was a coffee cup, what would she be like? And I went and did like a pottery class, and I made the world's shittest coffee cup.
Right.
So I literally like made this coffee cup out of pottery. I pinned a hole in the bottom of it. I put the handle on the inside of it. I made the lip like sharp with teeth so you couldn't drink, like it was just an undrinkable coffee cup.
Yeah.
I didn't show that to a single human being. This is the first time that anyone in the world now knows that that exists.
Yeah.
And I'll probably throw it away.
No, you
so
can
I don't
feel, you
sound
can
like a
feel the
psycho.
emotion from it. Yeah, definitely.
But in a really weird cathartic sort of release, I sort of made that, and I was just I've never done pottery before. I was just kind of in this room doing that. And then I remember I was really upset. I was heartbroken over this heartbreak. Like I really was. And I remember just driving home from making that, and I was like, oh, I feel all right. I wasn't like over it instantly, but I felt much better.
It was cathartic to allow yourself to go and do that.
Yeah.
There's a physical manifestation of those emotions in an art
Of course.
form.
And I think that where I am really fortunate and where I am really lucky is I get to do that for my job. Like if a particular brief comes up or there's a client who wants to tell a story a certain way and they don't know how to, I can then, my favorite part about my job is like the ideation of ideas. It's kind of like, cool, you want to say this, here's how I think we should say it. And then kind of going into that state of mind is, like who doesn't love thinking of cool stuff, you know?
I think being able to support people with the concept and coming up with that idea is it can be undervalued in a lot of ways, because some people will come to you with a concept and think it's fully formed and fully fleshed out. And well, if you're receptive, if you're open to hearing what I've got to say, maybe we can tweak it, maybe we can iterate on that and make it something, collaboratively even better.
Yeah.
It's how you communicate with people. It's how that can kind of consulting skills sometimes at trying to build that rapport and that relationship too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the ideation is undervalued because you can get bogged down with the technical side of things. You know you can take an amazing photo.
Yeah.
You know that you can direct a piece of film and make it look really cool.
Yeah.
But actually being able to take an idea and then breathe it into life is a different thing. It's a different skill.